Let's discuss. Hey everyone, it's Rachel back again with another reaction video, and today I will be checking out a new track from Foreign Hands called Chlorine Tears. This comes with the announcement that they've signed to Sharptone Records, which is very exciting. They already put out an EP earlier this year, Bleed the Dream, which is how I found this band. I really dig that EP, highly suggest checking out if you happen to be watching this video and have not listened to it, but I'm assuming most people probably have if you're watching this. So I will link the video for Chlorine Tears in the description, as well as all of their social media. Congrats to them for signing to Sharptone. I'm going to stop talking and we are going to get straight into it. That bass. That was nice. Foreign Hands, Chlorine Tears. Let's discuss. I really like this sound. The end too, or towards the end, I think before that ending where it's like this can't be happening, and it's got that lead that's really nice. But then at the same time, there are like a few different things that you get through this song, and all of them I really enjoy. And with this production too, I'm just really digging the sound. I think also sometimes it really easily could go a different way for me being this style, but something about the way Four in Hands does things beyond vocally as well. Like if you really listen on that first chorus and what sort of carries it instrumentally, they really lean into that melodic side of their band for that. But then like immediately right after, it drops in like with that super bassy drop, and it's relentless and sort of coming at you. But the transition is seamless from that, and I feel like that's not related either. What I started talking about how it easily could have like went a different way for me, and that would be because when it's more melodic hardcore type of sounding, there are just a lot of things. I've talked a lot on the channel about how I feel that what you listen to growing up and like where your roots are with music and heavy music getting into it affect a lot of like what you listen to. Or me personally, I know that's the case. And so with me being on more of like the metalcore side of stuff, there are certain aspects of hardcore that I don't have appeal to me as much as someone who maybe did grow up in the hardcore scene more than that, if that makes sense. And I don't mean that in a way where like I don't ever like it. I just mean in terms of things that I love, things that go. But that's also different because taste is constantly expanding. Bands like Four in Hands sort of blur that line and get me more into. That's what I found with bands like this, and why I am so excited about Four in Hands too, is because they in a few different areas, they sort of lean more out of what I normally listen to a lot. Like with some people, like for example, I really dig Knocked Loose. I loved their EP last year. I just don't put it on a ton for whatever reason. I've listened to Bleed the Dream more than I've listened to that EP, and I'm not sure what it is and like the difference, because I'd say they're pretty like not exactly similar. Knocked Loose has a bit of like I'm not going to get into the comparison because it does not matter. But I'm just saying with a lot of bands that sort of fall into this style genre, they don't go on my listening as much as I feel like Four in Hands does. And with this newer single, it's right in line with Lead the Dream, and I love the sound of production as well. So anyway, having the clean parts, but also in the chaos, in the sort of drumming too. Like if you listen, you obviously have some stuff like that really taps into the nostalgic feel that I think, and like sort of some of the influences that they have, like where the song opens up and you're hearing like that snare tap to go with that softer part, but more in like more for me in the heavier parts of the song. Like if you think I believe it was in the first minute of the song, there is one part where the vocals are spoken, and it's sort of the band I associate with this the most is 156 Silence, but I don't know what like subgenre or whatever it comes from. But that sort of spoken part around 1 minute, maybe a little bit more than that, maybe a little bit, I don't know, somewhere around there. But right before that, there's a part where it's, for a moment, it's like so chaotic instrumentally, but then it settles into sort of like a more, I don't know, like a more organized, chaotic feel where I don't know how to explain it other than like moving to the beat that it sort of settled into. But that part of what they do, I think grabs me a lot. I love their heavy style. I really dig the openness, and you know, there was a part somewhere I think in the middle of the song where it sort of opens up and you have that like rim of the snare drum tapping to transition into a different part, and that sort of stuff feels very in the nostalgic sort of sound that they have. Like I would compare it almost, though I'm aware that these bands sound nothing alike, to Static Dress, and how with their new album from this year, while listening to it, it has a very fresh sound to it. The production quality is fantastic. They do stuff that's a bit different than what you're expecting, but at the same time it has like the ability to give you that nostalgic feel in different ways. I feel like Four in Hands in a completely different context sort of does the same thing, because while you're listening to them, and especially for some people who, with what I talk about on the channel about roots, with your, how you got into heavy music, and if there are some hardcore kids and metalcore kids, if you grew up listening to heavy music, what you listen to more then, I think, defines a lot of like what you are more familiar with and drawn to when you're listening to the newer stuff. Obviously for me, that's the way it for sure is. So people who did maybe like more of the hardcore side of stuff, and also the subgenres, like while people who don't listen to heavy music, like it's a pretty, the music was screaming, it's not so complicated when it comes to breaking out the subgenres, but people who do listen to it, we obviously know that it can be so wildly different. Though you both listen to maybe the umbrella of like metal music, what you really listen to can be completely different at the same time. So just when it comes down to where stuff comes from, and especially with bands that I feel like sort of blur the lines of genres and subgenres and stuff, which I really like. It just, I think some things that are really strong characteristics, I guess, of bands and what they bring with them when they're taking influence has a lot to do with, if you enjoyed that in other contexts. But with bands like Four in Hands, 156 Silence, those bands that do fall more into maybe some subgenres that I didn't listen to as much before, I do find myself listening to more now, because the bands like these sort of blur those lines for me, and I guess I don't need to get too far into this, because I could talk about like that aspect of music, most aspects of music forever, but I just think it's very neat, and that's why Four in Hands is a very exciting band to me, because I feel like they are one of those bands that have sort of gotten me a little bit outside of my normal like listening to some degree. It's not like a wild difference or anything, but just little things that I enjoy about them I know to be in other bands that I've tried to get into and stuff and haven't been able to. But when they do it, it's just different for me. Maybe you know what I mean. Maybe it's you get it. But also, so you get that heaviness, that aggression, that chaos in there too. But at the same time, you're getting those softer parts, which are really well expressed. And like I was saying, they do transition so seamlessly, where you can go from being sort of chaotic to, softer and an open part. The bass in here was wonderful, where it came through to shine. I just very much dug this. I don't think it would be my favorite Four in Hands song. Bleed the Dream was an excellent EP for me. Hesitation Marks or the title track, those two for me were really grabbing. But this goes right in the same line of quality and such, like as a step that's equivalent to that EP, I think, and still has me very excited, especially with them releasing this so quickly after having released an EP. Carrying Right On, signed to Sharp Tone. I like this sound a lot, and like I said, with 4 minutes, it feels very full. It feels like it went a lot of different places and has a lot of like substance to it, I guess. So those are my thoughts on listening to it for the first time. There's not anything I would do differently. I don't really have any critique for this one, because I guess that's relative to what I mentioned. Like, what I really dig about Four in Hands is that they managed to be a little bit different from my normal like stuff I really dig and put on repeat. But they really grab my attention in a lot of different ways. So for me, that's something with bands like that. For me, like it's similar when I do videos for 156 Silence. I'm usually like, yeah, gonna listen to it more, dive more into it, more than like having something I want different. Those are more when I'm like familiar with the sound so much that I'm like disappointed by something that like a band has done or something. But with this, I'm just like, yeah, more of this. But yeah, so Four in Hands, I will link all their social media and such in the description. We'll keep paying attention to whatever they do in the future. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Other than that, you can also find my link tree, which will have the invite for the Discord server that I talk about in every single video. We have music-related conversation unrelated to music as well. Just kind of a lot going on. We've got channels for Last FM stats, new music, listening parties, and then pets, gaming, various different things. So if you're interested in coming to join, check out the community. That will be there, as well as my Instagram profile link, where I post all music-related content. My never-ending merch collection. I'm constantly getting more stuff, so I post that. And I'll get merch from shows, which I'll post about shows sometimes too, if I have pictures or videos to share from a show that I've been to recently, which I have a ton coming up. I'll post that sometimes. Every Friday I post a chart of what I've listened to the most over the course of the week, that type of stuff. So if that interests you at all, my handle on there is Rachel Reacts, the same as my YouTube channel, but again, it will be in that link tree in the description. As always, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it.